Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Eric Coffin. I'm here at the January 2019 edition of the Metal Investors Forum. I'm having a little visit here with the CEO of one of the companies that I follow. Brandon Macdonald is the CEO of Fireweed Zinc, a company that, as you may or may not know, controls a very large, high-grade zinc resource in the Yukon. Normally a Yukon company, a Yukon explorer developer, you don't expect a lot of news out of this time of year. But as it turns out,
yeah.
you had a little piece of news this morning that I think surprised the market a little bit in a good way.
Yeah, well, I think, so we opened a $5 million financing. I think generally as a rule, it's best to surprise markets with financing.
Yes, I would agree, yes.
But I think the part that caught everyone's attention is the lead order of that, about, I think 35% of it is Teck Resources, one of the preeminent zinc miners in the world.
Now, Teck, I know not that long ago, you did a deal with Teck to pick up some outlying areas away from the actual resources. Were they active here? Is this an area they know? I mean,
yeah. So we had completed in late last year the acquisition of the NID property off them, which gave them about 4.5% of our company when we did that. And it was not just the NID that they knew and understood. In the late 80s and early 90s, they had optioned the Tom deposit and project from Hud Bay, and this is when they were Kamenko, the Kamenko part of Teck Kamenko, and they had explored there until '91 when the bottom fell out of the zinc market and they dropped their option. Right. So we were in a unique position of dealing with a company that still employed geologists who had worked the project and who were fond of it. Okay. Right, so this was a much easier process of convincing them because they knew it.
Right. Now, I think one thing, for people that aren't aware of the sort of the big picture, I think it's important when you're looking at Fireweed, and in my opinion, there's only there's maybe a couple of companies that aren't majors that can make the statement. I mean, people look at the location, Mac Pass is where it is. But can you speak a little bit to scale and longevity? Because for me, I think that's really, you've got grade too, which is great, but I think scale and longevity is probably, if there's anything that's going to attract a company like a Teck, that's really what it is. You've got that size and ability to be there for a long time.
Yeah, I think, the majors recognize that the building of a mine and the initial growing pains is a huge, a disproportional draw on management bandwidth. So the longer you can run a mine steady state, the leaner a mining company you can be, in terms of your back end and management. So a long mine life facilitates that. So what our PEA conceived was a mine that would potentially be in the top 15 or 20 zinc mines in the world. And what we've demonstrated with our work last summer, and we're hoping to continue to demonstrate, is there's actually scale potential to improve upon that. So a group like Teck, who only really wants to focus on the biggest and best, they see a path to that.
And building on that statement a little bit, now that you're doing this financing, I know you're probably early in the planning stages, but in a very kind of loose, arm-wavy sense, what's the plan for this year in terms of work done and reporting?
Yeah, I think what we conceptually want to accomplish this year is to understand as best we can what we're working with. You don't want to get mired in permitting until you really know exactly what you want to permit. Yeah. Because otherwise you end up just rewinding the clock, starting over, and having wasted all that time and money. Not necessarily wasted, but you're not properly allocated. So this year is really going to be a focus on, probably first and foremost, is regional exploration, and then resource expansion in the known zones.
And I believe you still have stuff coming from 2018. You, like apparently everyone else.
Yeah.
No one's loving the lab turnaround these days.
No, we're waiting on the last of our soils, which should be pretty soon. And then we'd anticipate in about a month and a half, the results of our geophysics, the gravity in particular, will be released.
And the purpose to both of those surveys was to generate, essentially completely new outside targets away from the resources, away from what's been getting drilled.
Yeah, and we have a working theory on this fertile corridor on the property where we should be finding, intermittent deposits, because we're seeing Tom, Jason, end zone, and then a gap, and then the boundary zone on the NID property, which we acquired from Tech. So we think there's going to be more there, and we're hoping this, the massaging of this data allows us to find them.
Okay, so this summer is ideally targeting off of this stuff that's just coming, and some of what you did already, and some of what you already know about, but that plus targeting off this stuff that's coming in over the next month and a half.
Yeah.
Okay, and now you got to fund it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's going to be a bit of a relief for any junior minor CEO.
No, and I think that's, as a CEO, that is your single biggest concern, is where's my funding coming from?
Yeah.
Because whether you need to fundraise in a year or a month, it's still coming, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's good to have this done.
No, I thought it was great. I thought it was a great announcement. Great job getting that done in January. Nice, well-priced financing, very tight stock, very large resource, high grade. If you're interested in base metal storage, zinc storage in particular, there's a very, very short list of what I would call highly viable projects, and MacPass is definitely one of them. Fireweed is a story you definitely want to be taking a very hard look at during the winter lull. Thanks for coming by, Brandon.
Yeah,
Good to talk to you.
Thanks,
And again, congrats on the financing. Good job.
You.